name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. We are in class number 4 of emotional intelligence. Well, what does emotional intelligence consist of? Well, as its name suggests, it involves intelligence and emotion. It encompasses intelligence and affection. It is a human skill that consists of knowledge. It means I am going to know myself, my emotions, my affections, my feelings, my mood. I am going to understand it. I am going to grasp it. I am going to analyze it well. When I get to know him well, I will reach that conclusion. What are the factors and the causes that affect my mood, my emotions, my affection, my emotional state? I will study it. I will analyze when I am angrier, when I am more disappointed, when I am joyful, when I lose hope. What are the things that help me have more joy, more energy, more excitement in doing something? And how do I lose my excitement in everyday life? When I analyze all the factors, then I can manage the factors. I already understood that, for example, when I do this, this, and this, I lose the emotion. Very well. Then I remove those factors. And I will study if doing this and this gives me a lot of joy, gives me a lot of hope, and helps me to do this. So, I will manage my emotions to take myself to an optimal state, to work. These people who say, today I'm not in a good mood, today I don't want to work, today I don't feel like it, are losing. They are doomed to failure. But a successful person says, today I don't feel like it. I will push myself to feel like it. Today I don't have much hope. I am going to make myself have hope. Today I am not very joyful. I am going to make myself feel joyful. I don't like studying, so I am going to make myself like studying. This means that the person is going to change themselves, bringing themselves to an optimal emotional state, to an emotional state that will help them achieve success. It's not that emotions make him lose success, they make him lose his wife. For example, there are men who, due to being morbid, gradually lose interest in the relationship they have with their partner. Little by little, their wife becomes a normal person, not as attractive as she once was. These individuals can no longer express words of love. They can no longer love. And this sin of being morbid, of being a voyeur, will slowly lead them to a negative emotional state at home, in their relationship with their partner. They will lose peace and patience, becoming very fragile and impatient individuals. They start to complain, they start to argue, etc., etc. So you will see a relationship that starts with a good emotion, a very affectionate relationship. They fall in love, but then other factors manage the emotions of both, and they lose love in their partnership. When an employee starts a job, in the first few days they are well motivated, very excited, and full of joy. They work hard and strive. But setbacks will occur, and problems will arise. Then that person loses patience, loses hope, and loses the desire to work, gradually losing their drive. A good director is going to direct their life. How? By directing and managing, controlling their emotions. If she is my wife, I must love my wife. So how do I go about loving my wife? I will give it a try. It's practical, isn't it? Look, brother, when a human being is always thinking and remembering something negative, little by little, they will develop a negative outlook. For example, I am going to wake up. Think about it. I am, for instance, a factory worker. I wake up every day thinking about the negative factors of that job in that factory. For example, I say, look, how terrible that job is because I have to leave home to go to the factory. How awful that job is because I have to wake up very early. So, thinking about everything. The truth is we have a boss who understands nothing. The work situation is horrible. What I get paid is very bad. Always complaining, for example. Constantly remembering these complaints. So the complaints lead me to a negative emotional state. And then I am going to hate that job. Now I ask you, if you hate a job, can you do it correctly? When you hate a job, are you in an optimal mood to work? Do you have the desire to work in a USAN organization? Are you in a good mood at that job? No. If you hate a job, it will be so bitter that little by little it will become impossible to continue in that job. And after a while that you have started the complaint, look, the complaint does nothing. You haven't gone to where the solution is. We are not saying that you are blind or that you don't see how to fix the work. No, no, no. We say that through complaints, through negative thinking, and through cursing everyone, you cannot solve your problems. Instead, you will aggravate them and make them worse every day. And then you lose everything. So after a short time, you start to fight with your boss. You start to fight with everyone. You start to fight with your wife. And you come to the false conclusion that you must leave that job. That job doesn't suit you. That job isn't good for you. So you are going to quit your job. How many young people do you know who, after a while, have lost their love, lost their job, lost their studies? Why? And you will study by sitting down, talking with them, and you will see that they have been driven by their emotions and have not been able to manage their emotions due to a lack of emotional intelligence, or rather, because they have not developed that intelligence. Well, then we have said that emotional intelligence is partly mental, partly intelligence. It is a mental skill, but it is also partly emotional, partly affectionate, and partly an affectionate skill that helps you manage your emotions. So it is composed of two factors, intelligence and emotion. It is a control of emotions for you and for your well-being in Islam long before the West, because the West has only started to talk about human emotional intelligence in this century. However, in Islam, more than 14 centuries ago, Islamic narrations, hadiths, and the Holy Quran explain that this factor is the most important, emotional intelligence. Even in the sacred crown, she who says, one of the blessings that faith gives you is that you will reach a state where you will be so resilient, so powerful, that setbacks, troubles, and the problems of life cannot cut your path, cannot bring you sadness, nor can they worry you. How can this be? The Holy Quran, the sacred scripture of Islam, says that the closest friends of God, the believers who are closest to God, will not fear the future or be anxious about what is to come, and will be at peace. This means that anything that comes in the future will not worry them. They will not be sad about what has happened. This means that no factor can affect you, leading you to obtain a slightly negative mood. They are always in a good mood. They are always strong. They are always resilient. They always have the spirit of a fighter. How can it be? Through the act. It means that there are many factors in faith, in religion, that help you always be in the best factor. We can say emotional, in the best emotional state, and that is through faith. If you want to see a person, for example, you should look at the magnet Husinari salt. A person who, on the surface, appears to be in a worse situation. In Karbala, on the day of Ashura, Emome has all the reasons for a person to feel disappointed. Enemies surrounded him, friends betrayed him, he has no water, he has no food. They are going to kill his companions one by one. They are going to kill his own children. They are going to kill his brother. But still, he continues to resist, remains strong, maintains a good mood, and continues until the end. What happens to us? If today someone tells us, "Look, I think you are weak," then we say, "Look, I am weak. I lose my mood. I lose hope. I lose everything. I am going to fight and I lose everything." What is happening to us? It is that we do not have that faith. A part of faith is that it helps you develop emotional intelligence in what we can call Islamic teachings, which is referred to as tazkiyah. Tazkiyah means to purify yourself from negative emotions, to control your feelings, your interests, your ambition, all the factors that can lead you to a negative state within faith, within practice, ethics, morality, and the knowledge that religion, Islam, provides. This helps you save your life. Well, let's see an example. When a person is very irritated, they are in a terrible emotional state, their heart beats faster, their muscles are about to, we could say, make a strong impulsive reaction, hard without thinking about the consequences. At that moment, that person is about to make an incorrect decision. How many times have you seen a person, when they are angry, make a decision that is 100% against what serves them or helps them? For example, if you are very angry and decide to separate from your partner, that decision is the result of a negative emotion. This means that your thoughts have not helped you reach a logical conclusion. Right. Negative emotions led him to make an unnecessarily hasty emotional decision. That factor is going to damage your life. It is going to hurt your life. It is going to destroy your life. It is a total annihilation. How many times does a person, through their lust, while observing a girl, betray their wife? Betrayal is a decision, but it comes from an ambition, in lust. So that person, due to an emotion, falls into sin. And sin is a decision, it is a failure, because there is no blessing from God in any sin. If this person receives the curse, and after each sin, Satan comes to deceive you, it means that Satan, through deceptions, provokes you to decide. And then you will fall into another sin. Now that you have betrayed your wife, look, if you are going to tell your wife that you have betrayed her, she is not going to tolerate you. Instead, it leads you to another false decision, to another decision, we can say, provoked by ambitions and emotions. You are going to start lying, supposedly covering the truth. And so each day, it helps you to steal one day, betray another day, lie another day, and thus a person becomes someone who is always worried, always negative. So, every person who sins more is more distressed. The relationship between sin and anguish is that each person who has fallen deeper into sin and the temptations of Satan is more disappointed. And you will see that a person says, "There is no way out, I am going to commit suicide." Why? Because they have not been able to manage that ambition. They have not been able to manage their emotions, which means they do not have emotional intelligence. That person has not been able to purify their decisions from their emotions. This is the most important factor for believers. Well, there are quite a few examples. Like when a person is already in a state of fear, they are going to make a decision, and those decisions are really false, because that person will retreat. That person, out of fear, will make a decision to stop resisting. That town is facing failure again because they have lost their emotional intelligence, because they have lost task, a president who will be threatened and will sell everything. It means that due to fear, a decision has been made. Then one loses sight of the goal. Emotional decisions will inevitably lead you to failure. They will inevitably lead you to guaranteed failure. I fell in love with that girl. I am going to marry her. Wait, hold on, wait. Not only will the physical factors give you success, they will give you joy. They will give you happiness. Do not let intellect take a back seat. Think. Do not let emotions decide for you. Your intellect must decide for you. Think about it. Who is she? Where does she come from? Where is she going? What interest does she have in that relationship? Make a logical decision. Islam teaches us to remove emotion from decisions and to apply intellect in decision making. When your decisions are intellectual, then later you will manage the emotions on this path, thinking this is best for me, so I will change my emotions to fall in love with that believing girl who is my wife, and to have no interest in her. Because if I fall in love with a woman who is not mine, then little by little that leads me to sin. And the worst thing sin gives us is disappointment, all the temptations of Satan, because Satan has sworn to destroy our lives. And everything he does is through emotions. Well, there are many other examples we want to give of fear, fright, ambition, desire, and interest. But the conclusion we can draw is that the affective factors of life are very important, of course. But these factors should not take the place of logic in our decisions. Human beings are emotional beings, of course, but these emotions should not change the course of life. So hatred, sadness, interest, fear, enthusiasm, none of these factors can take the place of intellect in your decisions. They cannot sit in place of logic. Islam indeed teaches us that a believer must manage their interest, love, and hatred. It means that in some narratives it explains to us that the concept of faith is how to manage your interest. Faith means how to control your affection. You should love only God. It means the main factor in our life, which is love, must be dedicated to God. When I only love God, then I will love my neighbor because of that love I have for the Creator. Because every neighbor is a creation of God, a work of the Lord. So I will love them, and I will not care about who they are or how they act towards me. For example, someone treats me badly, but it doesn't matter. It means they cannot change my mood. Why? Because my faith is so strong. My faith in God is so strong that it overcomes all negative factors. A person who loves God deeply and knows everything that comes into our lives understands that problems are tests from God, tests for our faith. Poverty, illness, economic failure, these cannot make you negative all the time. Therefore, You are well motivated, always strong, and able to make logical and intellectual decisions. So the conclusion we can draw from this part, brother, is to know that when you make an emotional decision out of enthusiasm or interest, be aware of what emotions do to your life. If they take the place of intellect instead of logic, they will make you lose your purposes and you will lose happiness. But if you are going to change, starting today, remove emotions from your decisions. Manage your emotions. And do not let your emotions manage you. In the next class, we will explain better what emotional intelligence is and how we can develop it.